Good evening. Scott, could you introduce yourself?
Scott Marshall.
And Scott, you're Jessica's husband?
Yes.
Where did you and Jess meet?
Jess and I met in college at Corbin University in Salem, Oregon.
And how long have you been married?
We've been married for 18 years now.
Any kids?
We have 3 kids. Reagan is 15, Madison is 13, and Lincoln is 11.
Great. Can you tell me kind of a snapshot about your wife for people that haven't met her yet?
Yeah, good question. So, snapshot about my wife. She is very caring. She's selfless. She loves to interact with people, help people. She's studying to be a social worker, so she really wants to make a difference for those who are a little bit more vulnerable in our society. And she loves to exercise. Be outdoors. Hiking is one of her favorite activities. Really involved with the kids in their school and teaching them, and then also really involved in our church and making a difference there.
Hayley, how do you know Jessica Marshall?
We have been friends for 12 years, and we met at our church's life group when we were both pregnant with our 3rd babies.
So are you involved with Jess in homeschooling?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we do a homeschool co-op where parents are the primary teachers, but then Jess and I, as well as other ladies and some even men, we serve as kind of like tutors or lead learners for the children. So Jess this year is the tutor for the 10th grade class, which has her oldest son and my oldest son in it. And then I am the tutor for what is essentially like the 8th graders. And so it has my 2nd son and then Jess's 2nd child, her daughter. And so we both are actively teaching on our co-op days. Kind of ships passing a little bit, but yeah, we're doing that alongside one another. And then also we attend a second homeschool co-op later in the week where we're both, I'm on the board of directors for that one, and Jess is attending and there.
Jessica is probably the most genuine person that I've ever met. She is one that you feel like you have known your whole life. She comes up to you and gives you a hug every time you see her. She texts you afterwards to say, hey, it was great seeing you, having coffee with you. Very smart woman. She is compassionate. She is devoted to her family and friends. She holds it all together. She homeschools. She's in school currently. She is in internships. She's just the whole package.
That's great. And Alison, what type of work do you do and where do you work?
I am a nurse and I work at Evergreen Hospital in Kirkland.
Tell me about Jess. What kind of person is she?
Oh, Jess. She is my absolute best friend. She is a person who loves fiercely. She is someone who will give you the shirt off her back. She is very kind. She has a kind spirit. She's hilarious. She's super fun. She allows you to feel like you can be your authentic self. And so she's someone you want to spend time with because there's no judgment. You can just show up and be who you are. And that's just her in a nutshell. She's the most welcoming person you will ever meet. She's incredibly involved with her children. She's homeschooled her oldest since he was in preschool. So I guess they're on year 12, give or take, of homeschooling. Her 2 oldest, no, that's not true, her boys, so her oldest and youngest are involved in traveling sports. So she's very involved with making sure that they go where they need to go. She is an amazing homeschool parent that, includes her kids. She loves baking, so I know that she really involves her kids with that. Yes, Jess oftentimes is a parent I look up to try to be a lot like.
At the time of the collision, were you in the exit lane or the HOV lane?
We're in the HOV lane.
And did you have any, inkling or warning that there was going to be a collision occurring behind you?
No, we didn't have any warning that there was going to be a collision behind us. Yeah, so right before we were hit by the truck, we could hear the skidding of the tires on the asphalt as it was about to hit us. Obviously, when the truck struck us from behind, lurched forward and felt like, we were going to get plowed and accordioned into the van in front of us. It kind of shifted a little bit to the right just because of, the way that the truck hit us and what he was trying to do.
Were you able to discern if there was two distinct impacts? The first impact being the logging truck from behind and then you being pushed into the painting rig in front of you?
Yes, there were two impacts. The truck hit us from behind and then pushed us into the van in front of us. And there was still, he didn't smash us closed into the van. It was, he hit us and stopped and then pushed our truck into the van in front of us and then we hit the van there. So Eli appeared like he was upset, of course. He was, he apologized for running into us several times. I think he was trying to sort out what the next thing that he needed to do was. But yeah, he wanted to make sure everybody was okay. He came and checked on everybody.
Okay. Can you describe the truck a little bit for us?
Yeah, so the truck that Eli was driving was, a large semi. It was a log truck, so it had a full load of logs on the back that he was hauling. Big silver semi. I don't remember too much other details besides that.
Sure. So you mentioned a full load of logs.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give us any idea of how long these logs were?
Yeah, so the logs that the truck was hauling were, I would say, 30 to 40 feet. I mean, they were, I think he said that they were used for telephone poles, but they were full-size logs. So that was on Friday, and then probably by the next morning I thought we probably should go in and check and make sure everybody's okay. It was more than just getting rear-ended. People, Jess especially, seemed like she needed to get somebody to check her out physically at least and make sure that she was okay.
Was Jess diagnosed with a concussion?
So when we went to urgent care, yes, she was evaluated by a clinician there and diagnosed with a concussion. So once she was diagnosed with a concussion, she, I could definitely tell that she was sensitive to light. She was also sensitive to looking at screens, so her laptop or her phone. She said it would make her nauseous. She also mentioned she had a headache, and I think she was just trying to treat it with over-the-counter meds and pain relievers so that she could feel better.
Did your background as a nurse come into play when you found out that she'd been in a collision?
I guess knowing that probably she had a concussion, just talking to her, more of just a friend and making sure she was okay. I think that would, so probably not my background, but knowing that she probably had a concussion with whatever happened, and hearing everything that went afterwards, just taking care of her.
Alison, what led you to believe that she might have had a concussion from the collision?
Right afterwards, she was complaining about headaches. She could not concentrate on things. She was in school, or she is in school, but she could not even be in front of her computer. Being in bright lights hurt. She just couldn't multitask as well, and hearing that from her and her frustrations, that was my inclination that there definitely were some issues around it, and I know she sought medical help afterwards also.
So the first time you would have seen Jessica after the collision, did you notice anything different about her?
Yeah, she was moving slowly. And I didn't know if that was neck pain, back pain, if she just was still kind of tender from the accident. I do remember her mentioning that both she and her daughter, that their necks were really sore, and that Jess had a concussion, and that her daughter had a very mild concussion. So I do remember just being struck by how slow she was moving, and then also how much slower she was talking. It was like she was having to be very intentional with her words and thinking. I could already see that it was difficult for her to get the words from her brain out of her mouth.
Got it. So that would have been the first time you saw her.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice anything different in after the collision and how she communicated in written form with you?
So because of that role within our homeschool co-op, we both kind of send like weekly, recap emails just so that other parents know what was covered in class, anything of note, and then of course, what the kids need to be working on for the rest of the week. And so I receive a lot of those emails from Jess. And so I have very much seen times where even in her emails, she would say, I know I'm forgetting something, but my brain cannot process anymore. I do recall emails saying, I know that there is more that I need to include, but I can't be in front of a screen anymore. I'll have to email tomorrow. So I was watching her be affected by brain fog. I was watching her struggle to find the right words. I was watching her be affected by light sensitivity, and it was making her job that much harder because she was having to then circle back and follow up when her brain could process more effectively.
Hayley, did you connect those kind of things that you were seeing in the email to the collision?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Why?
absolutely. It was just such a difference in her that it was very easy to see pre-collision and post-collision. There's absolutely no denying it.
Are there any other examples that could be helpful for us to know about that difference you saw?
I've watched her just in, conversation struggle to find the right words. And she'll even sometimes say like, sorry, I'm, having brain fog today. I'm really having a difficult time today. I've also watched her in group settings struggle with all of the, conversations that are happening and all of the noise with that. And I've watched her sort of recede. I've even a couple times watched her kind of just remove herself from conversations because it was just too much for her to process. Essentially the effort wasn't worth it for what her brain was going to have to go through to stay engaged in that.
Are there things that you notice, present day that are different from after versus before the collision in Jess?
I think the biggest thing is just her ability to listen and multitask, and even like saying some words has become harder for her. You know, there's certain things where she will try and think of a phrase. What was one the other day? Analytics or something like that, and she just couldn't get those two words out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, before I think she'd occasionally have something like that pop up, but it seems like it's definitely more frequent now. I think, you know, her dealing with the challenges of her brain not functioning, or it seems like it's not functioning right, and she gets frustrated, and then she ultimately gets a little bit depressed because she can't do the things that she thinks she can, you know, she should be able to do.
Which of the things that you've listed do you think she's still struggling with the most?
I certainly don't want to speak for her, but just from an outside perspective looking in, I would think that I still see some instances of brain fog and just struggling to find the right words. I know she still deals with headaches as well. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but I know she deals with headaches. You know, the multitasking, I don't know if that's, you know, collision related or if that's just now being in school and, you know, everything else. But yeah, I do know brain fog, trying to find those right words, headaches, and maybe even still just feeling a little down and just like she can't quite measure up. She can't quite hit the mark of where she wants to be. I think those are still, in my opinion, those are still ongoing.
So have you noticed anything different about her written communication?
Yeah, so I've actually had a front row seat to a lot of her written communication, being her, you know, assistant editor for her school papers. So before, there was definitely some things that she needed to clarify in her work, but it was, you know, a few sentences here maybe need to be rearranged, or maybe a typo here and there. And since that time, there's been points where she has like ended her thought in the middle of the sentence, and but there's no period, there's no punctuation, or she has just had an incomplete thought and then moved on to the next thing, and it doesn't seem like it really makes sense for how it goes together. And so, you know, I've had to work back with her and ask her, like, what were you actually thinking when you were typing this out? Was this something that you meant to say and end like this, or did you mean to add more detail? And most of the time it's something along the lines of, oh, I was thinking about this over here, and then I thought about this over here, and I forgot to finish it, which wasn't really usually her style before. It was more of she'd finish her thoughts and complete everything before she asked me to look it over for her.
Jess has been working on her master's program in psychology. She'll finish in May, which it is my life's mission at the moment to support her so that she maintains that. She should be finishing up in May. So yeah, she's been doing the online learning. I can't think. I think it was a 2 or 3 year program.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned that it's your lifelong mission to support her in that. Why do you think she might need your support?
Jess has unfortunately shared on more than one occasion that she feels as if the workload and the expectation required to do the type of work she wants to do. Jess is a very hard worker, and she's a very proud person and wants to put in quality work. And she's felt here recently that the work that she's turning in is not to her standards. She's struggling to turn it in. She's had to ask for extensions more than once. She just flat out told me this last summer she might quit. She said, I don't think I can do this anymore. It's too much. It feels more overwhelming than it should be. To which I was like, you've made it this far, like you've got to finish, like what do you need? So I've gone as far as to just come to her house, sit beside her while she works on assignments, and I'll look at, I'll edit what she has to turn in and we'll talk about it. But there's that, like, I will sit with you, like, let's make sure this happens, because she really wants this. Like, she owes it to herself. She's poured so much into her children, and they're excited. Like, this isn't it's not selfish in the sense of there's not support. Like, Scott and her kids are so excited for her to do this. And so I think she's just the first person to see that the distraction of the schooling and the amount of effort it's taking where it wasn't taking that much effort in the beginning, she's concerned that it's pulling away from, maintaining, the children's activities. And it's definitely feeling like it's a lot more. The bandwidth is not there like it used to be.
Why do you think the bandwidth is different?
Can I be on it? I mean, like,
Yeah.
the accident. Can I be as bold as to say that?
So you believe that the collision from last summer has impacted her ability to concentrate and be effective in her studies?
Absolutely. There's no question in my mind that Jess before the collision and Jess after the collision, she has the same tenacity that she had before, but now the effort to approach the same type of work is met with so much more struggle. Like, she is a hard worker. Jess is one of the hardest workers I know, and she puts everything she has. So it's not for a lack of passion. It's not for a lack of gumption. She just can't. She doesn't have the capacity to anymore.
You use the word unfair. What do you mean by unfair?
It's unfair because she had nothing to do with it. It's unfair because they were just going on a trip. They were going with their kids on a trip. I think they were probably going to a sporting event, if I had to guess, like they always do. It's unfair because they were at that moment at that time and the truck hit them, and here she is now. I don't know if I'm going to finish my master's. I don't know if Lincoln is going to hold a grudge against me because he's not getting the same schooling that his older siblings got. That's unfair. It's not just unfair for Jess. It's unfair for her kids. It's unfair for her spouse.
I know people make mistakes, right? We see people make mistakes all the time. Sometimes we are the recipients of mistakes being made. Sometimes we are the ones making the mistakes. I cannot think of a kinder and more loving person, and who has been so special to me. It feels really unfair that it happened to her. And I also feel really selfish, but I wouldn't want to switch places with her because I've seen what she has dealt with, and I don't know how she's still functioning because she is so strong and so caring, and it feels unfair, and it feels cruel that it happened to her. And I'm thankful it wasn't worse. I'm so thankful that it wasn't worse and that she's still here today.
Mm-hmm.
But she's altered. It's still Jess, but it's a slightly different version of Jess. And it just feels unfair.
Hayley, do you think that it's fair to hold, professional drivers that, make a living driving large vehicles and who have commercial driver's license? Do you think it's fair to hold them to a higher standard in terms of knowing the rules of the road and being careful and not crashing into people?
Yeah. So, as her attorney, of course you want me to say yes, but as someone who drives these roads and who has a 16-year-old son driving these roads, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen far too many close calls. And a logging truck is, not only are you just driving on these roads here, driving a logging truck requires that much more skill and care for the sheer amount of weight and volume that is being propelled down the roads towards the Marshall family. Yeah, absolutely needs to be held accountable.
Christina, do you have any concerns long term for your friend Jess?
Absolutely. Oh
What-
my gosh. I think the long term, I think it's not just the cognitive issues she's had. It's the fear of just like how long is this going to last? How long is this going to impact me? I see how hard she is on herself. I do. I fear that if there's not enough people speaking truth over her and reminding her that how she is, who she is enough, like that voice will creep in and chip away at her. I fear for that. And that goes into the bucket of unfair. Like, she's an incredible person and she just asks a lot of herself, but I love that about her because she gives a lot of herself. And so, yeah, I do fear that I don't know how long. We've talked about that. We've said, I don't know how long this is going to last. No one has answers. It just makes no sense.